everybody, and welcome to App Personalization and Data Access, the unsexy side of increasing long-term customer value. I'm Mike Lavoie. I am the head of customer success at Airship, and I'm joined by
Jenny Lewis. I lead strategic services in North America for Airship.
We're excited to talk about app personalization because it's an important way to round out the experience for your customers across their engagement on the mobile device. And Jenny, one of the things that I find as I talk with customers is that their maturity in personalization around email is far more advanced than it might be in some of the other mobile channels. And there's certainly an aspect of that that is driven by, the longevity of email as an important channel, the technology that has been developed for personalization within email over time. But when you think about the requirements of the marketing department, the consumer is expecting to see personalization that exists across all of the channels that they're consuming on the mobile device. And oftentimes consumers don't differentiate between the channels because they're consuming it through the mobile device. And therefore they kind of expect, if you've got this information about me that you're using to personalize messages in one channel, why is it different across these different experiences I'm having, when the commonality among those experiences is this mobile device that I'm using to consume them? And the other thing we see, of course, is that mobile app customers are more valuable than customers who have not downloaded the mobile app. And there's a number of studies out there, but generally it's between 2.5 and 3 times more valuable to the business. And of course, the simple question would be, well, why don't you just get everybody to download your mobile app? And well, that might be an easy way to solve the problem. I think we both know that that's not likely to happen because different consumers have different needs and they interact with your brand in different ways. But there is a way for you to create consistency for them and perhaps drive more engagement through the app by creating consistency in the experiences that you have. And personalization is paramount to that. So as you interact with customers, which you do all around the country, personalization, I know, is one of those topics that comes up around the mobile app. What are you hearing from them, and what are you perhaps giving them for guidance relative to ways that they can or should be personalizing around the mobile app?
Yeah, absolutely. So we know things as simple as adding an emoji or adding a picture to a push message can have a really significant increase on the engagement rates. So as an example, a picture in a push message can increase direct engagement on that message by about 56%, right? It's a pretty significant jump. So if you take that and make a leap forward, where we also have a lot of data, as you said, from the mature email channel, we know that adding personalization on mobile is going to have another increase beyond that. So I do like to share that with brands that I'm working with as a kind of a jump start to the conversation. Another thing that we typically talk about is that the consumer is interacting with you as a brand, and they start to expect the same level of personalization from one channel to another. So if you have a really rich email personalization system, they're going to start to want that in the mobile app and in the messaging that comes through the mobile app.
Yeah, that's it's important, I think, for them to come to that realization that the consumer is thinking not about the channel, but as the experience interaction with the brand. As you talk with some of the folks that you are interacting with and the various brands that you're interacting with, how do they go about the process of determining impact, or are there impacts that, in essence, dictate that this is something that's crucial for you to begin to focus on personalization?
Yeah, I think they start to phase it into the messaging, right? So if you're a retailer, putting something like a store map within the app, or helping kind of guide a consumer around through your location. I like to think of that as the IKEA style store traffic, where you're on a specific road throughout the store that's guided for you. We're even starting to have a lot of conversations now about curbside pickup. So as somebody comes in closer to the store from a proximity or a location perspective, what can we do within the mobile app and location targeting to give some messaging about what that curbside experience is going to look like. I actually saw a great message earlier this week from a pet brand about being able to check in and say, hey, I'm here, I'm parked and waiting for my pickup, which I thought was a really great experience, because then it's almost like a call and response between the consumer and the store associate. And I think that sort of technology and messaging can help make things smoother for everybody.
Yeah, you're right. Certainly the current world order has forced some use cases around personalization that are really crucial for the experience as you described it. And one of the things that it strikes me certainly is when I think about the airline industry as an example, there's a need for personalization in those interactions because the experience is different than what people have traditionally become used to. And so, everyone knew exactly what to do and how to behave when they were in a pre-flight environment. That's changed today, and candidly, that might be different by airport. And so, being able to personalize messages for them to facilitate an experience around your main product is important, as well as the examples you raised around retail, where there's a need in the current environment, or really any environment, to help that individual be more efficient in the way they interact with your brand, either on store premise or prior to getting there. So great examples. As you think about data, Jenny, because the real driver of personalization is going to be data. So oftentimes I think organizations tend not to personalize because of the effort associated with bringing data in to drive that personalization. What types of discussions are you having with your customers as you go around and interact with these brands?
Yeah, I mean, it certainly is easier than it used to be to do personalization. It's not like the old days where we used to hand code all the personalization within emails. I think that the mobile app, from a technology perspective, has been a faster growth path and leaps in technology for personalization than what we had in email years ago. So I think the first thing you think about is what do you want to talk to the consumer about, right? And then where does that data live? So if you're in like an airline example, you want to know what type of booking does that person have? Did they have an unaccompanied minor traveling? Do they have a pet traveling with them? If they have a pet traveling with them, is that pet in the cabin, or are they in like a cargo travel? A retailer, you would want to know information about past purchases. So we look at all of that and then try to understand where does that data live within the customer's technology ecosystem, and start to figure out how to map it together. So we have a lot of ways to pull that information in. With our partnership with Movable, we can actually take that data and in real time put in contextual, personalized messages and change those at the time that the message is reviewed by the customer. So it's very exciting to have that level of personalization and customization within the mobile app.
Yeah, I know that for years, the access to data and the democratization of data has been a challenge, and organizations have found that oftentimes to facilitate personalization, they need to go find the data that they needed and replicate it in some system so that the deployment engine had access to it at time of deployment. And this really changed quite a bit over the course of the last couple of years. And one of the reasons for that, I think, is because email has been such a major driver of the maturity of personalization technology. That technology is available to other channels pretty readily now, where it used to be kind of centralized within a single channel. Now it's available across channels. So, the other mobile channels didn't have to wait and create all of that same technology themselves. They're really leveraging the advancements of the email channel in many ways. But I think the integrations, as you described, certainly the one that Airship has with Movable Ink being an important one because it's predefined, it's simple, it's easy to implement. Of course, the Airship, we've got them with several other large platforms as well. But also, I think there's been a shift in the way data is accessed. So in the past, it was, look, I need to go get this data element. I need to find a way to extract it and bring it into my deployment engine's environment. So my deployment engine has the access to it, and I need to find a way to keep that data in sync. Well, that's really no longer the approach. And certainly here at Airship, we've taken the approach of using external data feeds, which are really pliable integrations directly into the data sources that maintain the attributes that are required for making personalization decisions. And making that information available to the decision engine in real time allows you to not have to create what I'll call fixed or difficult plumbing to bring that data in. We've got these kind of flexible, pliable, data integration abilities that are really configured versus constructed, and that allows marketers in their decision engines to have access to the data that will actually drive personalized information. And that's where I think a lot of the 99% perspiration that used to be associated with the challenges of personalization have really changed. It's really through the advancement in technology. And of course, all advancements have components of people, process, and technology. In this particular case, I think the technology has really been addressed. It's now a matter of figuring out what are the right processes that I need in the decisions that I want to make around how to create a personalized experience at the point of deployment, or through Movable Ink, a personalized experience with dynamic content at the point of open, which of course that window in between when a message is deployed and when it actually is viewed, there are lots of behaviors or events that could happen that might cause you to want to change that content. And that's where I think our partnership with Movable Ink is incredibly reinforced. As an example, if you're going to incent somebody with a discount to go back in and purchase something that they've put in their cart, if that person actually goes and does that before they open up the message that offers them the discount, you certainly don't want to create more chaos by having them open up that message after they've completed the purchase and see that there was a discount that was offered that they didn't get. So the ability to personalize messages on open, I think, is really crucial for that personalization experience and enhancing the brand experience for the customer. So Jenny, as you work with these enterprise brands, there's, I'm sure, a lot of details associated with how you're helping them implement. Are there maybe a few tips and tricks or things that people should consider before they get started, or if they're thinking about jumping into the app personalization lake?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a few key takeaways that I'd say are a starting point for jumping into the personalization field on mobile app. So first off, think about how you can align your personalization across mobile. So if you're doing push and in-app messaging, how do you add a little flavor of personalization in each of those options? As we were talking about, identify the data that you want to use for personalization. So if I'm a retailer and I know that I don't want to offer someone a discount and then have that show back up after they've made a purchase, how can we use that democratization of data to understand that somebody's made that purchase and then do things with our fun Movable Ink integration that instead of that discount showing up, we do something like educational content about the purchase that they've just made. If I'm a beauty brand showing up, how to layer your serums, or, how to, if a food brand maybe how to blend that smoothie pack that you just purchased, right? Like, give that little educational content to keep somebody engaged with your brand after purchase, rather than, as you said, we don't want to resurface that discount. And then look at the behaviors that are going to require adjustment and personalization. This is something that's really different about the mobile app space, is that we're getting the contextual information about how somebody's interacting with the app throughout the whole time that they're utilizing it. So we can change and tweak the messaging based on those behaviors and based on location. And also, again, how can you use location to help, help modify and personalize the messaging, like the pet brand that did the I'm parked and waiting message. I think that is that's going to be a game changer going forward in the curbside scenario.
Yeah. Great feedback. I think particularly around the location piece, because the one thing that is unique advantage for the mobile device is the ability to leverage location within your messaging. So thanks for that. I hope folks got value out of our app personalization and data access discussion. It certainly is the unsexy side of increasing long-term value, but the impact can be substantial, and certainly hope everyone begins to step back and think about ways that they can increase personalization in the app experience and align it with what they are doing in other mobile channels, because in today's day and age, that is the expectation of all of our consumers. So thank you, everybody.